All right, guys, we are back in my garage for another video, and I know you're probably sick of me talking about PCV upgrades, but this is a prime opportunity to upgrade the 340i. I'm starting over completely from stock, and I decided instead of just reinstalling my old PCV upgrades that I've tried over the past couple years, it's time to try the latest and greatest upgrades from Ross Racing Performance. As you guys know, they're a huge supporter of the channel, and they sent me the best upgrade available for your Gen 1 B58. These are the parts that are going to allow your car to work just like stock in normal operating scenarios, but when you're pushing high boost levels, it seals everything up to keep your PCV working the way that it should. So in this video, we're going to take a look at the parts that we got. I'll show you how it works, as well as show you how to install it, and then do a quick review so you guys can know what to expect if you decide to go this route. So let's go ahead and talk about it, and hopefully you guys find this video useful. Now, before we jump into it, I gotta ask a question. What Ross Racing PCV solution are you running or planning on running on your B58? This is obviously a huge talking point to avoid PCV issues, but are you planning on just running a V1 kit with dump tubes like I was, or are you going with a V2 kit with a full catch can setup, or maybe even a valve cover upgrade? Definitely curious to hear what you guys are considering. Leave a comment down below and let me know what you're doing. But if you guys haven't already figured it out, what we're going to be doing is installing the check valve upgrade options from Ross Racing Performance. The benefit here is it basically upgrades your PCV system so that it can handle a lot more boost to prevent you from breaking your valve cover. So this is a really nice upgrade option for you guys that want the car to not smoke, not have any crazy smells or anything. It basically works just like stock when you're at idle or low load, but it seals up the system without breaking the valve cover, even at high boost levels with an upgraded turbo. And I'm excited to share that we don't just have one, but we have multiple check valve options, depending on exactly how deep you want to go into your setup to make everything look and work like OEM. So we've got everything here. We're going to install it all. I'll show you all of the different options so that you know what you're looking at. So let's go ahead and hop over to the car and take the valve cover off. So yeah, starting off with the DIY, you're going to need to remove the valve cover. The check valve inserts install between the valve cover and the cylinder head. So the first step is just to take the valve cover off. I have already posted a DIY several years ago to show you guys how this is done. So if you need that, I'll have the DIY linked in the video description just in case you need it. It isn't that long of a process. It's pretty straightforward. And if you've done it before, it'll probably take about an hour, but the first time it can seem a little bit daunting. So just take your time, remove all your fuel system stuff, pull the valve cover off, and then put it on a bench so we can install our PCV upgrade. All right, and here's a look at the parts that we have going in. So this is the care package we got from Ross Racing. Again, a big shout out to Matt over there. He's continuing to innovate, and these are some brand new parts that are gonna help upgrade the valve cover to make it even more reliable. So the first thing I want to look at are these check valves. And so these are very similar to the Gen 2 check valves that we've seen, but the difference here is on the Gen 1 valve cover, the holes aren't round. So he designed these to actually fit the Gen 1 valve cover. You see it kind of has a flat side, but otherwise it's the same. So it has the check valve inside. You can kind of hear the marble in there rattling around, and this is going to work just like the one on Gen 2 cars. So under vacuum, it'll work just like normal, but when you get into boost, the check valve will close and prevent boost pressure from getting into the valve cover. Now, the weird thing is, because of where this is placed, it does actually block off a lot of the normal routing for venting your gases. So this can work by itself, but the recommendation is also to add your PCV delete cap. And I'm actually really proud of this one because I kind of helped come up with this idea. But what we've also done is get a check valve in your PCV delete cap. So again, a big shout out to him for making this a reality, because we were kind of spitballing what could we do to mimic the solution that works on Gen 2 cars.
And then he came up with this. So you literally have a check valve inside of this fitting. Again, you can hear the check valve inside of there, and this goes to your head ports. So again, if you have any boost, the check valve will close, but it'll be open under vacuum. So nice little upgrade for the V2 cap. And then to close it all out or round it out, we've also got a check valve in the port. So now this is going to install a lot easier. It's a lot more modular, so you can add any size hose onto the fitting if you want to run it to a catch can or dump it under the car like I am. And this just screws into the top. So check valves on check valves, basically the ultimate solution to make the PCV operate like normal when you're in vacuum and just kind of cruising out of boost. But when you're in boost, it seals everything up and makes sure you have no issues. So super excited to get this on. We're going to go ahead and install this on the valve cover now. All right, so here we've got our brand new valve cover that we're going to be installing on my 340i. Keep in mind you don't need a new valve cover. As long as you have a working valve cover on your car, then you can do this same install without, replacing anything other than maybe your valve cover gasket. But if you've already broken your valve cover, it's already pushing a bunch of oil and stuff like that, then yes, you're going to want to buy a brand new one. In my case, because the one that I pulled off the car came with my used engine, I don't know the history of it, and just to make sure I'm starting with a clean slate, I went ahead and got a brand new valve cover. So here's the starting point, and as we've talked about probably a million times on my channel, all of the PCV inner workings are inside of here. This is the high side port, so when you're in boost, air comes out of here. But if you flip it over, you can see the holes that go to your head ports. So these holes go to the ports on your head in the intake track, and the vacuum basically pulls the gases out of your crankcase through these holes. However, inside of these little veins and galleys and everything inside of here, there are check valves, and those check valves close and open based on being in and out of boost. So if this experiences boost, the internal check valves close and direct air out the other high side port. So what these check valves are going to do is replace the ones that are in your valve cover because they are weak, and these are going to be much stronger, so they won't break even when you experience a lot of boost. So we'll go ahead and install these. They are very small, so go ahead and just make sure you take your time with them. But here's how they look up close. And when you're installing them in your cylinder head or in your valve cover with it flipped over like this, you should be able to read the logo. All right, so let's go ahead and pop these in. This side goes down, and this is what you should see from the top. And you can kind of see how it's shaped. Again, like I said, it's not a perfect circle. It's not round. It kind of has this chamfered spot. So just make sure you line it up and it drops in. And we'll do that for all three. Like so. And then you do need to push them in for them to stay. And it should be pretty much flush, but even if it's not perfectly flush, once you actually tighten down the valve cover, it'll squeeze it flush. So push it down until it's completely flat, and you should be good to go. It's very much just like a press fit in there. Now, if you ever need to remove it, it does have a little hole on the side, so you can put a pick tool in there to kind of hook it and then pull it out. But yeah, so now that we've got these check valves installed, these are going to be much stronger than the stock check valves inside. But because all of the routing and everything to get to your high side port is now blocked off, you really need to vent in other ways. So you can add like your oil breather cap, but the recommendation is to come over here and add a VTA port to this hose. So that way, you can vent it properly. And if you run it back to your intake, unfortunately, sometimes the car will smoke. It just doesn't give as much venting as you might want, especially in high boost scenarios with upgraded turbos. So just VTA that, run it to atmosphere, and it should alleviate that concern. And then of course, we're gonna install the VU cap up here. So let's go ahead and pop that off. And we're gonna do this off the car because it's a lot easier than trying to do it while this is installed. Hopefully, I'm trying to look like I've done this before. There we go. So pop that off. All right, we'll remove the diaphragm and the spring and everything that comes with it. All right, and then this is the twist lock cap. This is my preferred method because I think it's easier to install than trying to pop it on and off of the tab that's right here on both sides. But the twist lock cap actually has a little tab that slides and then twists underneath those tabs. So what you're going to do is basically line this up, turn it about maybe 30 to 45 degrees, and just wiggle it down. And just take your time, it should go in there. Actually, I'll probably put a little oil on these O-rings first. All right, just coated it with a little bit of 0W30. And then, yeah, just slide it into the hole, turn it, and kind of wiggle it in. There it goes. So just take your time wiggling it. It should basically just drop down once you've got it in place, and you'll know it's fully seated because if you look inside, you can see there's basically just one O-ring that you can see. So got that all the way in, and then push down a little bit and turn. There we go. And now it is fully seated. Now, because we're replacing my V1 cap that only has one outlet, I'm only going to be reinstalling this with one outlet. So we've got a plug that we can use to block this off. And that'll close down on there. And then we've got our check valve banjo that we will install right here. And then of course, don't forget to reinstall your set screw. The set screw isn't as important on this one. Like, you don't have to install both because it won't stop it from popping off. The actual tab under here will stop it from popping off, but it will stop it from rotating. So that's why you need at least one check valve. He recommends doing it at the bottom by the oil filler cap, so that way it won't turn and potentially lose its position. Double check that the check valves are staying put. Yep, so we should be good to go. Let's go get this reinstalled on the 340i.
And then at this point, all you need to do is reinstall the valve cover. Again, follow my DIY if you need it, but here I'll just show you this super smooth transition. I know you couldn't even tell what happened, but I actually installed the valve cover in that time. And you also can't tell, but the check valve inserts are installed as well, and that's kind of the point. Everything is hidden underneath, so you won't be able to see anything, but it will work exactly like you expect. Just take the car for a test drive to make sure it's all normal and working like you expect once you wrap up the install. Now, in my case, I took it for a drive and it worked flawlessly. Again, I had no smoke at idle, no crazy smells, and I'm just using the regular dump tubes going under the car. So even with that setup, I feel like this works a lot better than the regular V1 or V2 kit because the check valves are doing their job. So I know a lot of you guys have ran just the VU cap, that works fine. Or if you want to install the check valves and get, extra protection in all of the ports, you can do that as well. I did a little bit of overkill by installing everything, but I just wanted to show you guys all of the options that are available so you can kind of decide what works best for you. So very happy with the kit, works great whether you're driving around or going full throttle and beating on the car. Of course, I'll be tracking my car this year as well, so I'll be posting reviews so you can see how the car handles track abuse. But I feel very confident in this setup moving forward. So again, let me know what you guys think of this. If you're planning on going this route, of course, I'm curious to hear your thoughts. And I'll have the Ross Racing Performance link in the video description so you guys can go there, check out the full catalog and figure out what option is right for your B58 engine. But for now, I think that's it for this video. So thank you guys for watching and I hope this helps. And if you have any other questions or comments, leave them down below.